Hello boys and girls, today we're going to learn how to make Pikachu in Google Drawings. So the first thing we're going to do is going to go to shapes and we're going to get our oval shape right here. We're just going to click right onto the canvas, which gives us our circle, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. Now I want the border to be transparent. I'm going to change the color to that bright yellow because we all know Pikachu is super duper yellow. Now I'm actually going to duplicate this. And I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to flatten it out so it looks like I'm making an oval. I'm going to stretch it just a touch because remember Pikachu's got those little chubby cheeks. So just a little bit, and remember if you need to move it over you can always use your arrow keys. Move it over a little bit the other way. That kind of looks pretty good. You can always also move over the circle as well if needed be. So now actually I'm going to zoom in so that way I can do his face. And remember to zoom in, always use the magnifying glass. Never, ever, ever zoom in using the zoom tool on the browser because then you might mess something up and it will never look right. So now I'm going to go to shapes again and I'm going to get the circle tool. And I want to make sure I get these circles kind of smaller because these are the little red parts for his cheeks. So once again, I'm making the border transparent. I'm going to change it to the super duper bright red. And now I'm actually going to go to edit and duplicate so that way I don't have to try and guess. I'm going to put it right there. That looks pretty good for his little chubby cheeks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I do the rest of the face before I do the eyes because the face, the nose, and the mouth are going to help me with the placement of the eyes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a triangle. Now that's a little big. First of all, it's also the wrong way. So I need to take that dot up top and I need to rotate around until I get a flat side or until that dot is on the bottom just like that. I'm going to change it to black. And now once again, I'm going to make it smaller. Just like that. And I'm going to probably use my arrow keys just to make sure that it's nice and centered. Very good. Now I need his mouth. Now to do the mouth without using shapes, I'm going to use a line tool called Scribble. So right next to the arrow is what looks like a little line. And I'm going to click on the little arrow where it says select line. And all the way down at the bottom there's something called the Scribble tool. And it's exactly as if you were using a pencil in Google Drawing. So I'm going to click on that and now I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to go down and curve out. And there's my line, and I'm going to go now the other way, down and curve out. And there are my lines for Pikachu's mouth. Now I need his eyes. I'm actually going to duplicate the circle from earlier. So I'm going to go to Edit, Duplicate, and I'm going to change it to black, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. But this actually gives me a good size for figuring out his eyes. And now I'm actually going to duplicate this again. There we go. Now he needs the little highlights in his eyes while we're zoomed in. Once again, I'm going to duplicate one of the red cheeks. So I select it, edit, duplicate. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to change it to white, just like that. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to put it in the other eye. And there we go. So now I'm going to go out, I'm going to zoom out, or I'm going to hit fit. This actually looks pretty good so far for Pikachu. Now what we need to do is his body before we go on to the ears. So I'm going to go to shapes. Or you could click on the circle from the first one. You could hit edit, duplicate, and you could kind of stretch it out a little bit. Just like that. You don't have to make it super big, but that actually looks pretty good for Pikachu right there. Now, what I'm going to do the ears, the arms, the legs, as well as the tail. So actually I'm going to start with the tail first. And the tail is that lightning bolt shape. So I'm actually going to use the lightning bolt. And I'm going to zoom, bring it right down towards the bottom of the body. I'm going to zoom, make it nice and big. I'm going to change it to yellow. I'm going to make sure the outline is transparent. There's his cute little tail. Now I need to kind of get that brown part at the end, or the black part at the end. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in on the tail for just a moment. I'm going to go to the shapes, and I'm going to get the sort of square, like the trapezoid tool right here, so I can do the top part. I'm just going to click on the trapezoid. I'm going to flip it around so it can kind of line up a little bit. It's not going to line up perfectly, but I can try. So as you can see, it's not lining up exactly perfectly, but I'm able to kind of get it pretty darn close. I can even kind of zoom out, get the... Alright, so that's actually probably about as close as it's going to get. So once again, I'm going to make sure the outline is transparent, and I'm going to change this obviously to the black that Pikachu is. So I didn't necessarily need to make the outline transparent, but that's actually pretty darn good. Not perfect, but it'll work. Now, if you really actually wanted to make this more perfect, I'm actually going to delete this. I just hadn't thought. I'm going to go to shapes. I'm actually going to go look for this shape, the parallelogram. This actually would work very well. So I'm actually going to flip this so it would line up right there. That actually works even better than the trapezoid. And I can easily, once again, make this black, and that actually works a lot better. So now I'm going to zoom out again, because now it's time to do the rest of him. And for this, it's a lot of making ovals. So some of the things I'm going to cheat a little bit with for the feet and for the arms. And for that, I'm actually going to go to what's called Flowchart Terminator. It kind of looks like a long oval right down here. It's right below the sun shape. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click down here. I'm actually going to make that a little bit smaller and thinner. Once again, I'm going to change it to that bright yellow with the border transparent. And there's one foot. I'm actually going to make that a little bit smaller because he has tiny feet. That's actually pretty good right there. And now I'm going to go to edit and duplicate this and bring it over to the other side. Just like that. And I'm actually going to duplicate this again so I can do his little paws, like make him look like he's waving or something. So I'm going to go to duplicate. I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to turn it a little bit so his paw is kind of up like that. And then I'm going to duplicate this as well. So I'm going to edit, duplicate. I'm going to bring it over to the other side and kind of make it look like it's over the tail, which might mean I have to move the tail, but that's okay if I do. Or I could even stretch it out. So I'm kind of actually playing with the tail right now. I made sure to hit shift as I hit both of my shapes. Now I got to do his ears. And for his ears, I'm actually going to go to my oval shape again. And I'm going to do stretch out, stretch out, stretch out, stretch out. And yellow and no border and flip like that. There we go. There's one ear. But we still have to do the black part. We'll do that in a minute. We first are going to duplicate this. We're going to move it over. And we're going to turn it just a little bit. Now I'm actually going to duplicate this again. I'm going to change it to black, and now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it smaller so it goes over the top of his ear. And once again, edit, duplicate, rotate it, and there is our Pikachu. Isn't he so cute?